They didn't come, not one of them. The violins kept playing, the chandeliers glowed, and the guests whispered, wondering why my family seats sat empty in the front row. My bride smiled nervously, pretending not to notice, but I did. I noticed everything. That's how betrayal always begins, quietly, beautifully, like a note held too long before it breaks. When I called my sister, her voice was coated with mockery. "Oh? Was that today? You'll be divorced soon anyway. Why waste our time?" Then laughter. Cold, metallic. It sliced through me more sharply than the silence at my own wedding. I called my mother next. She sighed, slow and theatrical. "I'm in Paris right now, darling. Eiffel Tower, champagne, beautiful view. Don't bother me with nonsense." Then she hung up. That was the moment the old me died. The man who sought their approval, who believed blood meant loyalty. I stood at the altar smiling like nothing was wrong, but inside, something began to move. A quiet, methodical storm. Backstory. For years I was the family errand boy disguised as the golden child. They borrowed my savings, used my name for loans, mocked my fiancé as beneath us. I ignored it, out of love, or maybe stupidity. When I got engaged, they smiled for pictures, kissed my cheek, and whispered blessings with sugar-coated venom. My sister, Lena, even offered to help with the wedding accounts. I trusted her. She siphoned funds from my card to book her Paris trip, the one she bragged about while I stood abandoned at my own ceremony. I used to think betrayal came from strangers. I was wrong. It comes from people who know exactly where to stab. The discovery came quietly. 2 months before the wedding, I noticed missing money. My card statements didn't match my records. My fiancée said she'd overheard Lena telling someone, "He's too soft to notice." That night I poured myself a drink and stared at the city lights. I could have confronted them, screamed, broken things. But rage was useless. It would make me their fool again. So I smiled instead and started planning. The plan began with patience. I moved funds quietly, opened a new account, redirected my inheritance papers to a private lawyer. My father's house? It was in my name. I transferred the deed to me alone. Then I called the bank. Freeze all linked family cards. They would discover that while sipping champagne in Paris. I made sure my wedding was fully paid before the freeze hit. Then I sent them formal invitations, addressed in gold. They ignored me, which was perfect. I wanted them to. You see, revenge works best when it feels like justice wearing a tailored suit. The day after the wedding, the fall began. Their Paris trip ended abruptly. No credit, no cash. Hotel locked their room until payment cleared. Their status? Gone. I didn't answer their calls. Not yet. I waited until they returned home, broke, humiliated, furious. When they reached the gate, they found it locked. The same house my father had built, the same house they'd mocked my fiancé for cleaning once, was now legally mine. A notice hung on the gate, property of Amir Khan. Unauthorized entry will be prosecuted. They called me, voices trembling between rage and panic. "You can't do this to us!" I laughed softly. "Oh, was that today? Don't bother me with nonsense." Silence. Then the line went dead. That night I visited the house. The rooms were empty, the walls echoing their ghosts. I walked through the living room where we once celebrated birthdays and shared lies disguised as laughter. I left an envelope on the table, a copy of the legal transfer, the bank freeze order, and a photo of me and my wife at our honeymoon dinner. On the back, I wrote one sentence: "Family is not who shares your blood. It's who doesn't spill it for their gain." Weeks passed. They tried to smear my name in town, but no one listened. I had receipts, proof, and composure. The more they shouted, the smaller they looked. Meanwhile, my wife and I built something new, quiet, honest, clean, the kind of life they said we'd never have. Sometimes, late at night, I imagine them sitting together, bitter and broke, remembering that day in Paris. I wonder if they still taste the champagne when they think of me, because that's what betrayal does. It lingers like aftertaste. Now I'm sitting in that same Paris restaurant. The Eiffel Tower glows outside the window. I ordered champagne, not for celebration, but for closure. I lift the glass and whisper, "To family. May they always get what they deserve." The waiter smiles politely. He doesn't know the toast is an obituary. Not for them, but for who I used to be. Because in the end, revenge wasn't about destroying them. It was about reclaiming myself, quietly, completely, irrevocably. And as I take that final sip, I realize they taught me everything I needed to know about betrayal, about control.